have done a lot of chicken on this channel, like plant-based chicken or vegan chicken. Today, I thought we would tackle a different type of flavor profile, and that is beef. So today on the Edgy Veg, I'm going to show you how to turn soy curls into a kind of like a strip beef or like sliced steak to make tacos. Hey guys, I'm Candace, the Edgy Veg, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, bell notification, like the video if you love these recipes. Let me know if you have any requests in the comment section down below. So like I said, I'm going to try and turn just regular dried soy curls into like a nice juicy beefy meat alternative, or just a plant-based version of beef, and then serve them in tacos. And the tacos I decided to go with today are chimichurri style tacos because I love a really good chimichurri. I haven't had tacos in a while, so that's what we're gonna do. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is rehydrate my soy curls. I have them here. There's about 2 cups. This recipe should feed between 2 and 4 people, depending on what else you have that you're serving. So I just, they're dried, and we want to rehydrate them, and they double, about double in size when they're rehydrated. And the easiest way that I think to rehydrate them is just to take a no beef bouillon cube. If you don't have access to something like this, better than bouillon, the vegetarian version works really well for this, or just a normal vegetable bouillon. So I'm going to put that into a bowl. And then I'm going to top that with hot water. So 1 bouillon cube is good for about 2 cups of hot water. So this is the package of soy curls. Butler is the brand that I kind of just use exclusively just because it's the easiest for me to find. And what this is they're just like strips of protein, and they're actually made with the whole soy curd. It's a great source of protein, really natural, but it's a really good source of fiber as well. And it makes just such an easy meat substitute, and it's pretty cheap. All right, so I'm using a dry measuring cup just because my wet one is in the dishwasher. So that's 2 cups of boiling hot water, and then you just want to, like kind of with a fork, mash that bouillon cube up and make sure it's completely dissolved. All right, so that's pretty much dissolved. Now I'm just going to pour in my soy curls. Push them down into the water, and you want to let these sit for about 20 minutes. So set that aside. All right, so the first thing we are going to make is the chimichurri. So chimichurri is of Argentinian and Uruguay origin. It is a uncooked sauce that you can actually use as a table condiment for grilled meats and other things. There's a couple different ways to make it. I tried to find one of the more traditional recipes, kind of add a couple things to it. I have just a mini food processor here. It's because it's a small amount. I don't want to pull out my giant heavy food processor. But what I'm going to do is just add my parsley. So I'm doing about 1/2 cup of parsley, and then about 1/4 cup of cilantro. If you don't have cilantro, you can just use all parsley. And then of course, lots and lots of garlic. Then also some oregano and cumin and some red wine vinegar. And I'm just going to blend that together. Now I am going to add in some olive oil, and then I'm going to pulse some red chili flakes. And I've had a couple comments recently about, why am I not using like fresh chili flakes, and why am I not doing things like completely traditionally? And one of the reasons is because I try to make these recipes accessible to you guys. So instead of getting a bunch of fresh chilies that maybe you can't find at your local grocery store, I'm using chili powder or chili flakes, and then I try to make them like super easy for you so you can whip them up at home and you're not spending hours in the kitchen. And then again, the chili flakes are kind of, the amount's up to you. I'm using 1/2 teaspoon just because, Louis doesn't like spice. If it was just for me, I would probably use a full teaspoon because I like spicy food. But yeah, so just kind of pulse that in. So I'm just going to pour that into a bowl and let it sit for about 20 minutes just so everything, all the flavors can come together. And I'm gonna go ahead and make the sauce that we're using on our soy beef. So I am just salting it with my sea salt, just about, 1/2 teaspoon-ish. Again, everyone's palate for salt is a little bit different. The other thing I'm going to do, I just like to kind of, add a couple extra chili flakes on there. Okay, now I'm going to make the secondary sauce. This just gives it a little bit more life, as if I had, marinated my beef. So I'm just going to add a little bit more life and depth of flavor to the soy curls, and to do that, I am going to add some garlic powder. I have some vegan Worcestershire here, If you don't have access to this, that's cool, you can leave it out, but I do love the depth of flavor that it adds. Cumin. Lots of cumin in this recipe. Some maple syrup, liquid smoke, some soy sauce. You can also use tamari. And then I'm going to start with about 2 tablespoons of olive oil and just whisk that together. It's actually very similar to the bacon marinade that I use for the rice paper bacon. A lot of my marinades are kind of the same ingredients, just different amounts. All right, so it's been a little over 20 minutes and this is what our soy curls look like. They are nice and thick. They have like a nice texture to them, kind of look like little chicken pieces. Squeeze out the liquid. And then after squeezing out all the liquid, we're gonna put them into this colander here because we don't want them to be, you know, waterlogged and soggy. So I'm going to measure out about half a cup of this broth, and we are going to put it into this sauce that we made earlier that's been sitting on the side here. And then just whisk that together. Then we're going to take the soy curls that we just squeezed everything out of and put them back in here. So we are going to stick them back in here. Then I'm going to use the fork and just press them into the liquid and let them sit for about 5 minutes. While we are waiting for those to marinate, I'm just going to make up a little cornstarch slurry situation. So I want 1 tablespoon of water and 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and just mix it around and set it aside until we need it. Oops, making a mess already. Gonna toss that in there. And then just with a fork, I mean, you can use a spoon too, but I prefer a fork. And then you can set that aside. All right, I'm at my stove now, yay. So over medium-high heat, I'm going to heat up about a tablespoon or 2 of olive oil. And while that's heating up, I'm going to do the exact same thing I did earlier with my soy curls. So again, just squeezing out some of that liquid, putting it back into the colander. Now I'm just going to dump all of my little bits into the hot oil in the frying pan, and I'm going to fry them just until they're brown slightly. Don't burn yourself. While the soy curls are cooking, I'm going to add about a 1/4 cup of the marinade into a bowl. I'm gonna follow that up with about a tablespoon of brown sugar, or I like coconut sugar, about a tablespoon. And then also a tablespoon of tamari. What you want to end up with is kind of this nice, like brownish liquid. Give these a little stir. They're starting to brown now, which is perfect. And then we are going to go ahead and add our slurry that we made before with the cornstarch. Giving that another stir. All right, so these are perfect. If, you know, it's not quite as dark as you want, or, you know, you want there to be more flavor, I like to add about a tablespoon of barbecue sauce. About a tablespoon. And then you can go ahead and mix that up and pour it onto your beefy tacos. It's going to get very thick very fast. So they still kind of look like chicken, but they taste more like beef. At this point, you want to salt and pepper it. You totally can. Okay, to serve, I'm using corn tortillas, but you can use corn or flour. I happen to find some corn tortillas at my local grocery store today, so that's why I'm using that today, because a lot of the time they're either not available or they're all sold out. So I just have a dry pan here and I'm just heating them up, and then we are going to top them with some smashed avocado, some red onion, and cilantro. Now let's build our tacos. So I'm starting with the avocado. I just have smashed avocado here, and I'm going to put it on my corn tortilla, which I've toasted. And I'm using just plain smashed avocado because there's so much flavor and everything else that we are adding to it that I don't want it to be too overwhelming. Our soy curls. And of course, the chimichurri that has been sitting and is perfect right now. Slather that on top. A little bit of red onion. A must, I think, but you know, if you don't like raw onions, you can just leave them out. That's our taco, and our neighbors are doing construction, so we're gonna go take photos of this and then come back and do a little taste test for you. All right, guys, there you have it. Delicious chimichurri tacos. I cannot wait to dig into this guy. Oh my God. Oh, that char is perfect. This is the perfect flavor combination, honestly. The cilantro, the chimichurri, The char of the soy curls definitely let them, you know, have a couple charred spots. The cheese, everything is so tasty. You guys have to make this recipe. As always, if you want the recipe to this guy, it is in the description box down below. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on new videos every single week. Let me know if you have any recipe requests in the comment section down below. This is everything.